No song. But I got a question for you. Is there more than one kind of platypus? Because it seems to me, once you've named something platypus, deciding to call it duck-billed is just kind of adding insult to injury. Anyway, so obviously the topic of today's discussion is animal husbandry, which is against the law. You're not allowed to marry animals, folks. Now, actually, I was thinking of talking about movies adapted from books. And basically, what I think are some of the best adaptations. Now, first of all, notice I said best adaptations, not best movies. Because there's like a lot of good movies that came from books, but they kind of veered way off of what the books were. It's I don't understand when somebody, there'll be like a great bestseller and it sells millions of copies and someone in Hollywood says, "Oh, I want to buy the rights to that and make a movie out of it because it's a wonderful book." And so they do. And then the first thing they do is start rewriting the thing. It's like you got this great book, it's already there, but now you decide you want to make the two 30-year-old lovers into teenagers rolling around in the hay or something. But anyway, what I want to talk about is the good ones, not the bad ones. But I'm going to mention a couple of bad ones anyway, just for the heck of it. And I'll just quietly mention Lord of the Rings because I already did a whole video on that. I'm telling you, Peter Jackson, I know you're watching. Satan has got a special room set aside for you. Anyway, a couple others that didn't do a good job. The I forget what they called it. Was it just called Reacher? Jack Reacher that Tom Cruise starred in. Now, if you read the books, the character Jack Reacher is like 6'4", 240 pounds. And Tom Cruise read that and said, "Oh, perfect role for me." Uh, Another one, Battlefield Earth, which is, I think, the best book that L. Ron Hubbard wrote. And L. Ron is the guy who invented Scientology, right? Got the right one? The one that Tom Cruise, again, and Travolta belonged to. And it was like a really good science fiction book. And John Travolta decided, "Oh, let's honor my hero, and I'm going to make a movie out of his book." And he made a terrible movie out of that book. But that's some bad ones. Now there have been a lot of good movies made that weren't necessarily good adaptations, and I can't think of any good ones to mention offhand. But anyway, I'm going to talk about movies that I thought were good adaptations. And now, this could definitely be a bigger list, but I'm only going with movies that I actually read the book for, because I can't claim something's a good adaptation if I never read the book. And at the top of the list, I have to put the one that I think was probably the most faithful adaptation, To Kill a Mockingbird. Uh, I should have looked up to see like the years of these, but I'm sure it was like from the 60s, maybe 63 or so, with Gregory Peck playing the main role. But that one, it's almost like they took the book and just turned it into a script. It was pretty much start to finish, right along with the book. Um, and if you haven't seen it, go find it somewhere and watch it. And a little tip for the kiddies out there, it's one of the few movies that you could watch and get away with doing a book report from it without having to read the book. It was that well adapted. Was some another good one of my favorite movies, The Godfather. Very, very close to the book. Now, but it brings up now one of the things you have to keep in mind with any adaptation. There are reasons that things have to be changed from the books. For one thing, with a lot of your with the really good books, if you tried to make a movie out of them just completely, we'd have a lot of like 6 and 8 hour movies. You know, a lot of times things have to be cut just to make it a little more concise. So, you know, not to go back to Lord of the Rings, but I did forgive him for Tom Bombadil, but then he went on with the movie and screwed it up too much from there anyway. Uh, but yeah, so there are reasons that the movie can't be exactly like the book. But like I say, you take a bestseller, then why would you want to totally change the story of it? Makes no sense to me. But anyway, like I said, so we got To Kill a Mockingbird and The Godfather. Now another one, I think, as I remember it, one of the most faithful Stephen King renderings was The Shining with Happy Jack Nicholson. As I now, of course, you know, these are all things that I read a long time ago and saw the movie a long time ago. But this, as I remember it, The Shining was pretty close to the book. A lot of the Stephen King movies, they took the book and they were pretty close to the story, but then they'd give them happy endings. One that always sticks to mind, spoiler alert, Cujo. In the book, at the end, the dog wins. The dog kills him. In the movie, the mother and son got away. But what else? Okay, Rosemary's Baby. That's an older movie, another horror movie. It was, as I remember, it was really close to the book. And I made myself some notes so I wouldn't. I sat here and was like thinking of movies and stuff, and so I jotted them down so I wouldn't forget them all. Goodfellas. That's one that followed the book really well, which is sort of like a doubly good thing because it was supposedly a true story. You know, the book Goodfellas was taken from the guy's life. Oh, and also put down The Exorcist. And I think there was, wasn't there a newer version of The Exorcist? I'm talking about the original one with Linda Blair. And I remember I had read the book before seeing the movie, and I thought that the movie kept to the story pretty well. Geez, I swear there was another movie I wanted to talk about that I think I forgot to write down. I will mention one that it's I loved the book and the books, and the movies were good. But the movies got so ingrained in my mind, I'm not sure if it would belong on the list of good adaptations. And so Courtney can help me out with this one. Harry Potter. I think it was probably good adaptation, but I'm not sure if it was just how faithful it was to the details. And I think that's pretty much. I'll give you an example of when you can have a bad adaptation, but still a enjoyable movie. Now, notice I say enjoyable because the one I'm going to mention, you wouldn't call it a great movie, but it was fun for what it was Starship Troopers from a Robert Heinlein story. Now, those of you who are illiterate and hadn't read this book, the movie Starship Trooper is really just like one part of the book. You know, the war that they were having with the bugs on there. Well, the book covered many different um, actions and so forth, different enemies. But anyway, it's an example of when they veer from the book, but they end up making an enjoyable movie. Some of them you could even say they made good movies, but again, I can't think of good examples right now of, well, a lot of the Stephen King stuff. Like I said, they tended to change his some to soften him up a bit, but they were still good movies. I'll tell you another one that I think probably, although technically not a movie, but another Stephen King one that I thought did good was the miniseries for The Stand. The one that I remember Rob Lowe was in it, because I think they did a later version of that. But I seem to remember that one they kept pretty close to the book. But again, like a lot of his other movies, like Pet Cemetery, Misery, really good movies, but I do think some of the important details they veered away from the books. Anyway, that's me for today. I'll let you in on a little behind the scenes secret here. I am kind of putting this video together at the last minute because the one that I did that should have been coming out when this one does, I thought on it and I thought, I'm not sure people are going to get the humor. So I'm scrapping that and this one's going in instead. And besides, I can talk about movies and books all night. So anyway, hey, the weather outside's frightful, so it's a good time to wrap up with a warm drink and a good movie, huh? This is me saying peace out.